Hey guys, just got a quick share here. So I just got done mentoring at a jail, and I just wanted to share a parable that I kind of made on the fly. I wanted to share my experience with overcoming a doubt that a guy had that I was mentoring. So this gentleman wasn't quite all the way a believer. He wasn't locked in fully. He wasn't 100%. I'd say he was somewhere like a 9 out of 10. He just had some doubts, right? One of the primary doubts, one of the primary objections that I ran into with him as I was talking to him was, he didn't understand the disparity between, we have one God, right? And it's the same God in the Old Testament and the New Testament. I know that, right? But he didn't understand why God was so different in the Old Testament than in the New Testament. Why was God, why did God seem meaner in the Old Testament and then in the New Testament? Why is God so much nicer in the New Testament? Why is Jesus so much nicer? Well, and why is he so much nicer in the world today, right? Why are we experiencing so much grace now? So I put it to him like this. I kind of made a parable on the fly. I said, okay, well, consider this. Consider if your son was out in the desert in a survival scenario, okay, and he had maybe 50 friends with him, okay, and somehow your son recognized an opportunity for him to save his 50 friends. He knew that he could save them, but he knew it would involve his death. And your son, and you couldn't contact your son couldn't contact you, he couldn't contact anyone because it was a survival scenario. So let's say you found out later that your son did this, but all of his 50 friends survived. I said, how would you feel about those 50 friends that your son saved? And what if your son left a note and said, Dad, I'm going to die, but I know that my death will help my 50 friends live. Please consider them your sons now. Please help them and protect them and be with them just like they're your sons. And I said, how would you feel about those 50 people that survived because of your son's death? And he started thinking about it. I said, yeah, and I said, you'd probably love them a lot, wouldn't you? You'd probably love them just like a son. You'd probably feel even more protective over those 50 people, than you were maybe even with your son. Maybe you would feel like it was an opportunity to save now 50 sons. Now you have 50 sons instead of the one son. So through your son's death, now you have a family of 50 plus you. So I just thought that was a cool parable. And so now, the thing about it is, if you consider that God the Father feels that everyone that believes in his son is a son, then there's billions of sons in the world that the Father feels is very, very special to him. He feels that way about every one of us that believes. And so we're mixed in throughout the world, right? And so, in the Old Testament, if all the sin that is going on in the world today was going on in the Old Testament, surely he'd wipe us out, right? But he's got sons everywhere. He wants to see our sons make it, right? So he recognizes God is extremely intelligent. He's the most intelligent person in the universe. So he recognizes that if he wipes out all the sinners, his sons would also not make it too, right? So he's giving all of his sons every opportunity to make it to the promised land, to make it to heaven, to the kingdom of heaven, right? So I just wanted to share that parable. I think that's probably really helpful. I had the same concern. I was like, why? I actually prayed on that myself as I was a new believer. I didn't understand why God is so much nicer today, and Jesus was so much nicer in the New Testament than he was in the Old Testament. I'm like, what's the difference? But if you look at Jesus' words, actually you can see the Father come through in his words. I don't think he's, I think his wording, his basically his parables, I think it's very consistent with the Father. I don't think there's any gap between them. I think he is truly the Father in the flesh, right? So I just wanted to share that parable. I hope it's helpful for someone that had that same kind of doubt or that same kind of concern, like why the disparity between the New and the Old Testament. So I hope everyone's having a good day. I just wanted to make this video real quick while I was still thinking of it, while I still had So while I'm still loaded with joy from because this gentleman, it's all he needed to confess faith. He accepted Jesus into his heart because of that parable that I explained to him. You know, his son in the desert saving 50 of his new sons, right? His adopted sons. So if you believe you're an adopted son, he cares deeply about you. He cares about you passionately, just like you're a son now or a daughter. So I hope that helps everybody. God bless you and protect you, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.